really excited that you've joined us tonight, where we'll be covering the topic on healthy eating on a budget. So before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we are meeting on today, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people who are present today. As you may be aware, many factors influence our food choices, and for many parents and carers, providing healthy food options for their families can seem hard with a tight budget and a tight schedule. So in tonight's webinar, we hope to share some tips on how providing healthy options can be done quickly, cheaply, and easily. So tonight I will be covering the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating and the Cost of Healthy Living. And I will then hand it over to Jess, who will cover shopping on a budget tips, time-saving ideas, and finally, quick and affordable snack and lunchbox ideas. Now, let's start it off with the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. This guide reflects the most up-to-date recommendations on what we should be eating each day. So this is for children as well as for adults. And each section of the plate represents one of the 5 food groups, and each food group provides us with important nutrients each day for healthy growth and development, as well as for our bodies to grow, to work at its best every day. So we usually call these everyday foods, and the 5 food groups are, as you can see here, firstly, we have breads and cereals, and we do prefer whole grains. Second, we have veggies, and legumes and beans are also included in this group. Thirdly, we have protein, and we have lean meats and poultry and fish, as well as vegetarian alternatives, including tofu, nuts and seeds, and legumes and beans and eggs. Next, we have fruit, and lastly, we have dairy. So this is your milk, yogurt, cheese, and alternatives. And for children under 2, we do recommend full-fat dairy products, while for children above 2 years old, low-fat is generally recommended. Now, as children grow, their body's needs increase, and they need more energy and nutrients, meaning they will need to eat more of these everyday foods as they get older. And there are lots of benefits from eating from the 5 food groups. And the most obvious one being that it helps children and adults maintain a healthy weight, and it helps to prevent chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease in later life. However, a lesser known benefit that you may not be aware of is that actually eating from these 5 food groups helps children with better concentration. It helps them with mood, better behavior. So it really sets them up to have a better physical and mental state to help them improve their overall school performance. So now that we've covered the 5 food groups, you may also be thinking to yourselves, there's definitely some foods I can think of that's not in these categories. And you're definitely right, because what you don't see in the last slide under everyday foods are the foods usually high in energy. So these are the foods high in salt, sugar, or fat that don't provide our bodies with essential nutrients. So think cakes, ice cream, soft drinks, fast food, alcohol, even processed meats like sausages and bacon. Now, we understand that food can sometimes be more than just the essential nutrients it gives us. There's the social side of it, like, for example, what's a birthday without a cake? And just pure enjoyment of certain foods. So the important thing to understand is that you don't need to cut them out entirely off your diet, but it is important to draw the line and know that these are sometimes foods. So these are the foods to be enjoyed occasionally, but shouldn't make up the bulk of your diet. Children's food preferences and eating habits are established at an early age, and it's greatly influenced by the home environment in terms of what's available at home and what the children see you eating and enjoying. So as parents, you play a big role in your children's food choices, because at their age, they rely on you to make most of the decisions around shopping and what's going to be on the dinner table, or what's going to be at the counter after school when they're hungry. So as parents, you're responsible for what and when your children eat, while the children then decide how much to eat. But persistence and patience, they're all definitely needed, as you may recall from the fussy eating webinar that it can take children up to 15 times of trying new foods for them to develop a taste for it. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we have a variety of everyday foods and make them the easy and accessible choice and provide a positive and encouraging environment for them to enjoy these foods. Currently in New South Wales, more than 1 in 5 children are above a healthy weight. And we know that children are now eating more takeaway foods and highly processed foods more than ever and not eating enough vegetables. So for children over 5, we recommend 5 serves of vegetables each day. Shows that while more than half of children in New South Wales are eating enough fruit each day, only 1 in 20 children are meeting the 5 serves of vegetables recommendation. And on this slide, we can see examples of what 1 serves of vegetable looks like. So if it's fresh, frozen, or canned or cooked veggies, it's about half a cup, and that includes legumes, beans, and lentils. If it's more of the salad, leafy vegetables, it's about 1 cup. Or you can also see there it's about 1 medium tomato or about 8 veggie sticks. So let's unpack some of the reasons that may explain why vegetable intake is so low amongst children. Now, we acknowledge that some parents may find veggies expensive or may find vegetables too time-consuming to prepare. Other parents may find it difficult to include veggies in their children's meals and snacks because their children just haven't developed a taste for it. Younger children will especially lean towards the sweeter flavors found in fruit. So if you were to serve fruit and vegetables together, they tend to go for the fruit. So a good idea is for you to serve the fruits and vegetables separately. As for eating habits, for many cultures, having veggies at breakfast times or snack times just really isn't the norm. So it may take some time to adjust adding more veggies throughout the day for your family. 5 serves may seem like a lot of veg for a child to eat in one meal, but that's why it's so important to include it spread across throughout the day. So let's take a look at an example of what this might look like. So starting the day off by swapping some sugary cereals for whole grain bread and baked beans is a great idea because baked beans count towards your children's veggie intake and provide longer lasting energy that will keep their tummies full. For recess, you could try swapping salty snacks with colorful veggie sticks with a dip, for example. And adding salad to your child's sandwich at lunch is also a good way to include an extra half cup of veggies. Children are often really hungry after school and go in search of processed snacks like chips and biscuits. So you could satisfy their hunger with snacks that's full of protein, such as these egg and veggie muffins. Finally, providing at least 2 serves of vegetables to your children at dinner time is a good way to round that day off. Remembering that half a cup of cooked veggies is equal to 1 serve, so aim for 1 full cup. For fussy eaters, play around with different shapes, colors, and textures of veggies to make vegetables more appealing. And if your child spends most of their time at a childcare centre with their meals provided, it may be worth seeing if you can look over the menu and see if there's any gaps which you can find opportunities to fill outside of these. The average Australian spends, as you guessed, about 50 to 60% on sometimes foods and drinks. And so you can see here that leaves less than half to spend on the everyday foods that we really should be making up the bulk of our diet. So that's your fruits and vegetables and your meats and dairy and alternatives. So what we want to see is the right-hand pie chart here. So what we want to aim for is to flip the proportions around so that we prioritize spending more on our everyday foods. That's shown in yellow and green here, as these are the foods that will give us the nutrients our body needs and leaving the leftover budget for the sometimes foods, so that 10% there. And did you know that everyday foods are actually currently tax-free, while sometimes foods will incur tax? So you can actually check this out the next time you shop in your receipts, where certain foods are usually marked with a symbol like a percentage or asterisk. Healthy food is expensive. I'm sure many of you have either felt this ourselves or heard other people say this, so let's take some time to explore this further. Now, it's true that higher prices are often seen in products marketed as the latest superfoods or must-have products for the latest dieting trends. But when it comes to fresh produce with minimal processing, it may be better value than you'd originally think. We often see fruits, vegetables, and meats priced per kilo, whilst packaged foods, including chocolates, chips, and lollies, are usually priced per unit. So a $2 chocolate bar or $5 bag of chips or muesli bars. So let's now take a look at some price comparisons. We can see there that apples are $6 a kilo, and while single chocolate bars at the shops, you can see them for $2. But have you ever gone in to look at the unit price, for example, the price per kilo of chocolates? You'd be surprised that a $2 chocolate bar can actually go upwards of $20 to $30 a kilo. Now, even almonds and nuts in general that we feel are pricey now look affordable compared to chocolates or muesli bars and provide more nutrients too. Fast food and takeout can be really convenient, but can really start burning a hole in our pockets since the money you pay for these foods have to help cover rent, staff wages, marketing and advertising, and packaging, and so on and so forth. So on average, for a family of four, you'd be looking at spending about $40 for a burger and chips meal from a fast food joint. But what if you were to make that same meal at home? So you can see all the ingredients prices broken down there, and you'd still only be spending about half that amount at about $20.
So shopping for healthy foods can be affordable if you do keep a few tips in mind. Starting off with buying fruits and vegetables that are in season will help make sure you get the best quality produce at a good price. So items like apples, bananas, carrots, and broccoli at the moment are in season and at a really good price. Consider buying fruits and vegetables in frozen or tin varieties rather than fresh, particularly if you're buying foods that are out of season like mixed berries at the moment. If you do opt to buy tinned fruit, make sure you're buying fruit in unsweetened juice rather than syrup. As one of you stated in the chat box, looking for weekly specials in advance and buying those items. Look to buy generic branded products like rice, pastas, and milks that don't have many variations in flavors amongst different brands. Swapping out meats for other alternatives, including legumes, eggs, tofu. So in dishes like spaghetti bolognese, you could look to minimize the amount of the mince that you're usually serving and top it up with a tin of lentils. This will make the meal go further and then give you some leftovers for the next day. Avoid purchasing foods that are marketed to children, but look at different ways that you can present the food to your children in your own exciting ways. So utilizing things like sandwich cutters to make interesting shapes for lunchbox sandwiches are a good idea. Avoid pre-prepared and convenience foods. So buy items like block cheese rather than grated or cube cheese, as it's sold for cheaper per kilogram. This could be useful if you're packing your children's lunchboxes as well. So looking to avoid packaged cheese and biscuit snacks, but preparing your own in small containers. And buying in bulk and avoiding single serve portion items. So buying bulk cereals rather than individual portions or mini packs, or looking to buy bigger packets of dried fruit, crackers, or popcorn rather than individual snacks for your children's lunchboxes. So spending hours in the kitchen to cook up a healthy meal after a long day is probably not something that most people want to be doing every single day. So again, we want to share some tips that will help you feel more confident that you can provide healthy meals for your family even when you are tight on time. So firstly, consider doing some food preparation ahead of time. So you'll find that just a little bit of preparation work will go a long way during a busy work or school week. Even just the slightest bit of preparation can get you ahead for the upcoming week. So some ways to prepare for meals can include washing and chopping ingredients in advance and storing for later use, preparing purees and snacks for babies and toddlers ahead of time, preparing breakfast or packing lunchboxes the night before. So looking for some ideas like overnight oats or ham, cheese, tomato toasties or boiled eggs are good ideas for this sort of thing. And finally, consider preparing foods using back-to-back meals throughout the week. So rice is a good example for this because it can be included in dishes like fried rice, burritos, and stir fries. Some other top time-saving tips include cooking in bulk and freezing in small portions ready for reheating, which I see one of you have put that in the chat as well. Consider your cooking methods, so using time-saving equipment like slow cookers, rice cookers, or air fryers, which will save you both on cooking time and cleaning time, which is very ideal. Stretch your leftovers by using odds and ends at the end of the week, again for meals like stir fries or fried rice. When you are eating leftovers though, do ensure that you're considering food safety and heat foods up to their required temperatures before you're eating them. You could look to collate some ideas for no-cook recipes for the days that you don't feel like cooking, or you're having a busy work week, or you're rushing around after school to make after-school activities. Some ideas for healthy, quick, cheap options can be scrambled eggs on wholemeal toast or omelettes filled with lean meats, cheese, and vegetables. And the final one we've got there is consider preparing family foods, so for whole of family meals. Adjusting the way some food is presented, particularly to our younger children, so they can eat foods in a safe way. So as we have mentioned across the webinar series, you do play a huge role in your children's food choices. So role modeling and eating the same healthy meals and snacks as your children is important, as it will not only save you food preparation time in the kitchen, but it will also help reinforce those positive eating behaviours that we want to achieve. So on to healthy lunchboxes. So providing healthy meals and snacks for your children as busy parents can be challenging, I know, and I'm sure at times you feel like packing a healthy lunchbox can become a tedious task, and it is hard to keep those lunchboxes creative for our children. So I'm sure we've all had to prepare lunchboxes at some point, whether that's for children that are attending school or preschool, for a day out with your families on the weekends, for ourselves, for work even, or you may even have children that are going to be transitioning to school in the future. So when packing a healthy lunchbox, we should aim to include an item from each of the everyday food groups. So the food groups that Irene mentioned at the start of this webinar. So this includes fruit, so something that will be easy to peel and eat, like a banana, a small apple, or a few grapes. And if you do have the time, you can look to cut the fruit up to make it easier for your children to eat on the run while they're playing in the playground. Vegetables, so looking at something crunchy and colourful like carrot sticks, a corn cob, cherry tomatoes, or adding salad to a sandwich or wrap. Dairy items, so perhaps a plain milk popper or some yogurt. Then breads and cereal-based foods. So as Irene mentioned, we want to be aiming for those whole grain options. So you can look to change it up by including wraps, crackers, or rice or pasta dishes instead of sandwiches for lunchboxes. Adding a protein-rich food, so to help our children feel fuller for longer. You could look to add chicken, egg, or baked beans to a sandwich, or keeping it separate in the lunchbox. And then to drink, always packing a bottle of water. And then again, considering food safety, particularly at school if you're packing leftovers. So we want to ensure we're keeping our hot foods hot and our cold foods cold. So consider using items like ice bricks to keep foods cool, and a thermos to keep those foods warm. So this is a really useful resource from the Cancer Council that I love. This showcases how it can be easy to put together a healthy lunchbox and provides tons of great ideas. So you can search Healthy Lunchbox Builder in your search engine and it will come up. So the resource offers an interactive way to choose items from those 5 food groups that we've been talking about. And it might be something really interactive for you and your children to do together to keep healthy lunchboxes interesting. It may also prompt them to want to eat what's in the contents of those lunchboxes too, if they get to help plan it. The resource also offers ideas for healthy recipes such as sandwich alternatives, sandwich fillings, and offers some inspiration and ideas for snack options. So once you select items for the lunchbox using the builder, the resource goes into outlining different tips to save time and money, ways to keep lunchboxes creative, and provides suggestions of different ways to present foods to your children to encourage them to eat it. And so just to finalize healthy lunchboxes, here are some really quick, easy and cheaper snack swap ideas you could try at home as snacks or in kids' lunchboxes. I won't go through them all in the interest of time, but you can look to include things like swapping cakes and muffins for fruit bread or pikelets, or swapping chips for rice crackers with spread or air-popped plain popcorn. So we're now coming towards the end of tonight's session. I hope that the session has been useful and that you're feeling confident in being able to shop healthier on a budget and excited to try out some of our tips to help you save time. It is important to keep in mind that even the slightest bit of meal planning and preparation can get you ahead to provide healthy meals to your family. So we've definitely covered a lot of information in this webinar, but I'll leave you with these take-home messages to reflect on. So to help reach those 5 serves of vegetables in your children's diets, include vegetables in meals and snacks across the day, remembering that you as parents play a big role in modeling your children's eating habits. Eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive at all. Planning is key when preparing meals to help you stick to a budget and save time. And not one strategy will work for all. So I really recommend trying out a range of budget and time saving ideas to see what will work best with your family and your family dynamics. So much like our other sessions in the series, I'd encourage everyone to take the time to have a think about setting a goal relating to shopping and cooking this week. I can see you still are all reflecting now in the chat box, which is great. So this will help you put into practice ways to save time and money when it comes to preparing healthy meals. So that brings us to the end. Thank you. Take care.